Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the special meeting of the joint study session with the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission and the Covington City Council. It is Tuesday, July 12th for our special meeting. And this study session is an informal meeting involving discussion between and among the City Council, Commissioners, and City staff. And in compliance with state law, City Council special and regular meetings. This is being held in a hybrid format with in-person, telephonic, and virtual options for public viewing. With that, we will do a roll call, and we'll just go around the room and introduce ourselves. I'm going to start with David.
David Scalabrini, a member of the commission.
Ramel Marquez, Vice Chair of the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission.
Fernando Campos, also member of the Equity.
Debbie Hartzog, almost council member. We'll swear in and if, I don't know.
I'm Jeff Wagner. I'm your mayor of Covington.
I'm Sean Smith. I'm the council as well. Michael Ramirez, Joseph Smolo.
Sure, go ahead. And Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer Hartja-Helsen, council member.
And Daphne, I see you up there. Would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, Daphne Hernandez, Assistant Planner and Staff Liaison for the city.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I see that we have several items for discussion, and I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to turn it over to Ramel
All
or
right.
David or whoever.
Kentucky, because I know you're contacted.
Well, in absence of Bronwyn, Bronwyn's just going to do a thank you for having us for tonight. And what we're going to be basically doing is presenting to you what we've been working on, our strategic plan that we put together, our work plan, and then what our next steps would be. And that's where we would like to get some feedback from all of you. So not sure if, did you all receive the documents? You know, not sure if all of you have had a chance to go through it or anything. So if so, we hope to have some engaging conversation afterwards. So we're going to start off with the strategic plan. This is something that Monty and myself and Bronwyn pulled together for the commission. What we wanted to do in a quick nutshell is we wanted to put together something that was simple, to the point, but knowing that it was a living document, also easily be updated as we move along. So you'll see as you go through it, we put in objectives on a 1 to 2 year scenario and then a 3 to 5 year scenario. And it allows for also for a review period. So as you can see, we came up with a value statement, which I'll read just briefly. The Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission are committed to assisting the city of Covington in building a community that celebrates the diversity of America. Our values are to build a community where mutual respect is given and the voices of our residents are heard. We felt it very important that we put out there what we believe in, but in a very simple and easy manner. Our mission statement, as you're all aware of, and then the commission goals, which we had, I believe, gone through with you last year. What we did with the strategic plan is Monty and I took our goals, and that's what we built the strategic plan on. I took the first two, promote and celebrate, and is that right? Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then Monty took the and Monty took the facilitate and serve. So we'll go through those and what our plans are with all of it. With the accountability, that was basically what we took from the declaration that created the commission, was our accountability to the city, to the city council, and to the mayor, and to the citizens of Covington. As I mentioned, we have a review process, so we will be undergoing a yearly review of the strategic plan so that we can check ourselves. How have we been doing? Have we achieved the objectives that we put forward in the current year? What are our objectives for the next year? Do we need to make any adjustments? Have we already accomplished something that we put down for the future because of timing? Something came up that allowed us to move ahead. So we have a review process in there. to check ourselves. We also felt that it was important to make sure that we had a definition of what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. That can mean so many different things to so many different people. So as a commission, we brainstormed and we came to consensus as to what we as a group felt that those meant. And in a nutshell, it basically is that we are building a community that is inclusive, accepting of all people, regardless of race, gender, sexual identity, religion, as well as political belief. It's a matter of we respect public discourse. We accept that everybody's going to have a differences of opinion, but the idea is to communicate and to have dialogue, because usually when you have dialogue, just like with the commission, not everybody agrees on everything, but guess what? When we communicate, we come to a consensus. So with that, I'll go into we'll go into what the goals and how we broke everything down and just lightly touch on each of the goals. So with Celebrate, what we did was understand that how did these get out of order, Monty? Yeah, because it's promote, celebrate, facilitate, and serve, but we got celebrate, serve, promote, and facilitate. So we'll go back and forth. So with Celebrate, the idea is that we want to be working with the city of Covington and in order to celebrate the diversity of Covington. I believe I mentioned before to the council members that were here when I interviewed, I'm one of the original members before this became Covington. My family was out here in the 60s. So I grew up out here. I grew up when all of this was woods and ranchland and farmland. But it's completely different. It is a wonderfully rich, diverse community. We want to celebrate that. And so with that, we are looking to we'll create a subcommittee that will explore existing events that we can partner with, whether it be within the city itself or with sister and neighboring cities, things that we might be able to do with the cities of Kent, Maple Valley, Black Diamond, who may also do have equity commissions. So things that we can do jointly. We'll seek out guest speakers. We think that one of the best things to do is education. Education is what people learn from. And so we want to educate the members of the community on the differences of the cultural diversity that we have in our community. So what better way than to have guest speakers, have public events where we can have speakers from the different cultures that are represented within our city. So those are within our 1 to 2 year plan. Then we have a 3 to 5 year moving forward, where we would be looking at annual participations, especially like with Covington Days, partnering with other commissions on future and things that we can then do to, in a sense, show the diversity of not just Covington, but the whole community around us. When you're so close, city to city, Covington, Kent, Maple Valley, Black Diamond, and we're all, even Ravensdale basically is really, there's so much that we have to share. And so we might as well learn to grow. We're all growing, might as well learn to grow together. And so with that, I'll hand it to Monty to talk about the serve portion.
Hey, Monty, sorry to interrupt, but could you speak into a mic? I would totally appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, try.
Looks green. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a pop quiz, so whatever I did say, you'll be quizzed on. All right, so like I said, we love subcommittees because you can actually get work done. So Well, thank you. If I, then we may talk about the plan. Again, I just said the subcommittee for the 15th time. We love them. Moving on. So with the serve, I think one of the big things for us was to be seen as folks that are liaisons between the council and then also the committee. And just to kind of see, like, how do we reach people? How do we reach people? And not that people can't talk to the council directly. Hopefully, everybody is able to. However, I think there is a sense of intimidation sometimes, or a sense of higher than. And so we would love to be, servants who can be liaisons. So for our 1-2 year plan, the subcommittee will be working to figure out ways. And when we talk about innovation, we talk about ways that we interface with the community, whether it's via Covington Days, in a parade. How do we reach out to, folks that don't speak English or that are hard of hearing or whatever? So it's all sort of, neurodiversities within the population. How do we become their liaisons? Also looking for ways or generating ideas of recruitment of our ECSJ members themselves. If we're sort of representing the city, the commission should be that representation of the population, if that makes sense. So how do we reach out to folks, that may not be going online and figuring out the application process? How do we get everybody, common folk, involved in being part of the leadership team? Also, what is our message? Clearly stating, what is it that we're here to do? It took us a year to figure out what are we here to do, but then how do we communicate that to, rest of the community? So that's our immediate sort of 1-2 year goals. Looking ahead, of course, we cannot do this alone. So we would like to reach out to agencies, community, whether they're cultural, political, or whatever it is, to figure out how we can, collaborate with agencies so then they can reach out to their membership and their sort of populations and see how, we can all work together. Sometimes I always say, why work hard when you can work smart? It's all about collaboration. And then also, creating that subcommittee again, resources and panel member, which actually goes with the other goal of having folks that represent the community, be the people that are actually not just there in front lines, but getting people involved. So it's not just the 7 or 8 or 10 of us. I'll hand it back to you.
Promote pretty much builds off of the serve portion that Monty was talking about. And again, a subcommittee that we would establish to promote the mission. So in the promote, it's all about promoting the commission, what our mission is, what our goals and that are. So we would want to be collaborating with the city public affairs team on what are some other opportunities within the city. What are some other opportunities with other commissions? We'd be looking at things such as handouts, our webpage. We'll share with you a handout that we'll be doing at Covington Days that has actually a little contest for the community to help engage and get some of their feedback. So things like that. We'd be participating in an objective for the first 2 years is at least one city event, whether it's Covington Days or any other event that we might have going on. Part of the promote is to also then moving forward in the 3 to 5 years is what are some other opportunities of how we can promote, and that would be in having such as a city meeting, basically a town hall, to where we can be talking about and promoting diversity, promoting the work of not just the commission, but the diversity of the community. And that's where, again, we could have some of those guest speakers that could be engaging. We could have panel discussions, things like that. So that's kind of down the road. It's a very ambitious goal. And so we know that that portion is very time consuming. So we know that that's definitely going to be something that's going to have to get built up. It's not going to be in the media. Back to you, Money, for the last one.
It's kind of like what we were just talking about with the serving part. So facilitate has been how. if we're talking about, we would love for the community to be here or us to be liaisons, it's like, what are we using? And so for our 1 to 2 year plan, our first thing is to not create a subcommittee, but it's to really figure out how, whether we're gonna hold open houses or, whether it's a 1-page survey or what have you. So it's really looking at the hows of hearing people, their voices, how can we hear them? And having listening sessions or what have you. So probably we'll commit or have a subcommittee at some point to figure out the hows of having them be involved. Then our bigger plan, so our bigger ambitious plan is to have an ongoing sort of listening, whether it's again, listening sessions or just sort of ongoing where folks can tell us what is the climate. So kind of like the ongoing climate survey, but depending on, where we are or how we're doing this, but also developing resources. And so, not just like collecting data, but what are we doing with the data? So if the data is telling us we have, I don't know, no services for people who, English is their second language, and that's maybe the disconnect, then what are we doing? And so that would also mean we collaborate with perhaps other commissions, the human services commissions or what have you. We're really coming up with like collaborative effort of like how we're gonna actually do this. Also having a system of reporting. I think a lot of times, again, whether it's because people just don't report or perhaps they don't know how to report. So if there are things happening in the city that people are, not okay with, or maybe they are okay with, how do I tell the mayor that, hey, you know what, this is what's happening in the city and I don't like it, right? And even if it's one voice that we want to capture, that. So some sort of a anonymous reporting system, that relates with the issues of equity, culture, and social justice in general. Again, that's a long-term goal that we have. And then we would actually love to have resources, whether it's resource guide or what have you, to helping people navigate if there are things that are not working or what have you, but just navigating the system. So, we are here to facilitate that dialogue. So whatever the city has, how can then we relate that and facilitate that dialogue? So we're working together, but then at the end of the day, it is the citizens that are getting something out of it. So it just doesn't seem like you have an open session and maybe you heard the 2 things I said, but then what is being done? So we would also be talking about things of that nature as well. That's it.
So with that, so this is kind of the 10,000 foot elevation view. We then had that, and with the tremendous help of Daphne, we were able to take that and drill it down into our work plan, which is a quarter by quarter, basically goal. This is the goals of what we achieve each quarter. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ramel, who will be walking us through the work plan.
Yeah, so like David said, strategic plan, the grand scheme of things, I'm gonna use a football analogy. The work plan is the actual playbook of this whole thing. It's, if you've gone over it before, it's pretty dry, but it's pretty straightforward. One thing that we started back in Q1 of this year was we have that survey that's up on the commission page. I have not checked on it not since the last. I don't think we checked it since the last. Yeah, it's still active. I think we're just gonna keep that going throughout the year. I'm pretty sure at some point, maybe next year, I'll change the questions around, but I think it's good to just collect that data for now, and like Monty said, we'll find a use for that data at some point. And here we go again with the subcommittee joke. This one we're actually doing in progress. As like David said, we want to establish a subcommittee to explore other events and partnerships with other cities, Kent, Beaver Valley, Black Diamond, et cetera, et cetera. Bringing this down to, if there's like something that we can do for Maple Valley Days. You know, I'm pretty sure Black Diamond has something similar as well. We wanted to have some form of participation in that. Try to do, we would try to keep doing this throughout the year. I feel like that one's more of a long-term plan, but I think I know we briefly discussed it during our last meeting, but this was, working with the community development and update the 2015 to 2035 comprehensive plan for the city of Covington. And I think that's pretty straightforward with feedback. Monty and David touched on this already, but we want to be able to bring groups together. So hosting a town hall, public forum, listening session for people with issues within the community. That's something that would be welcome, and I'm pretty sure the city council would like to have that kind of keep off you guys, at least for one night. Oh, that's part of that one. We are actually, I believe we started work on this one already, but to ensure all groups and individuals are represented in city communications, I think that was it Daphne where you gave us the example calendar of
Definitely did.
Daphne,
Daphne did,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. But we want to make sure that get certain holidays from all walks of life, religion, race, whatever, are would be included in the city calendar, because that's obviously one way to saying, hey, we recognize that it's it's Hanukkah, it's Kwanzaa, it's National Donut Day, for just for the sake of the argument. That does not seem. It seems. No, not redundant. It doesn't seem like the.
Well, there's donuts, there's the type of donut in every culture.
That is true.
So
That
you
is
can
true.
have a subcommittee
You can have a
to
subcommittee for
investigate.
Pastry Friday.
But you might be onto something. I was like, yeah, we'll look forward to that, I promise. In any case, obviously we'll work with the city council to get a clear vision. I typically work in the better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. I realize we can't exactly do that in city government. So this is where we just come and say, hey, is it okay if we do Donut Fridays for the city of Covington? That's where you tell us yes or no, or pick 5 donut places and we'll go from there. Monty touched on this already, but we always want to get feedback on recruitments. Just because we're a pretty diverse group, we always want to have more voices in the room, as chaotic as that can be. But that's what subcommittees are for. We updating the webpage periodically. That's anytime we have like a major thing, like I think what we're proposing with the flyer for Covington Days, that would obviously be something that we can update on there. And I touched on updating the survey earlier, and then get guest speakers. I think I had touched on this like way in the beginning of coming up with the strategic plan. Is having experts on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't need to be like a whole public forum. It could just be someone just talk to the city council or human services commission, or even come out to a school event, just to talk about that subject. Okay, that's for. Oh, this is. Yeah, yeah, I think a lot of, the rest of these are just for, towards the end of the year and so on, but a lot of the ones that I covered is pretty much what we want to cover for this year.
So yeah, like Camilla was saying, this is kind of the playbook. We are gonna get it into sequential order.
Try
Quarter,
to.
quarter by year. Yeah, I was just, I can't go Q1 2023 to Q1 2022. Just, my brain doesn't work that way. So we are gonna get into sequential order, but that's kind of the drill down. So kind of give you a play by play. But there are some things that while we have been, in a sense, I mean, in their transparency, fumbling, to get ourselves together. There are some things that we have accomplished. And so, Fernando, you want to touch base on just, I mean, they're small things, but to us, they represent a very important thing when it comes to the whole thing about equity and diversity.
Yeah, so going off of those little stuff, we have been busy. So far, we've accomplished the survey, sent out to the community. We want to see where we should start from. Get a start, like a starting point, an idea. We've done the land acknowledgement, our most recent Juneteenth social media campaign, where we got to reach out to a local Black-owned business and see what Juneteenth meant to them. And our most recent, the Declaration of Human Rights.
So those, the Declaration of Human Rights and the land acknowledgement are where we start our meetings every month. We do the land acknowledgement, and then we have and the Declaration of Human Rights is from the United Nations. It's a declaration from the United Nations. So we read those at the beginning of our meetings. So while they seem small, they were important to us as a means of showing respect to the diversity of our community. So I just wanted to share really quick, as we mentioned, a handout for Covington Day. So this is our next big step. We've designed a flyer that we're going to give, but we have a little contest going that we're asking people 16 and older to share with us how it's to help us design a shirt for our commission. And it is to, it says to please help the ECSJ Commission design their official shirt by using creative arts to answer the following. What does equity, cultural, and social justice mean to you or the community? And so we want to see how creative we can get. So we'll select a winner from that. But then we're also going to have an ongoing interaction with the community, something that will just continue, just like with the survey. And that's where we're asking to hear their voice. So we're asking them to engage with us, and we want them to showcase their voice when it comes to equity, cultural, and social justice by submitting your choice of art to the commission. So it's to, whether it be through spoken word, as far as poetry, whether it be through art, however they want to express their voice and share their voice with us. And that's going to be something that's going to be ongoing, and that's open to everybody. It won't be age restricted. We want to just some way of engaging the community and starting to hear from them. And that will all get posted also on the website so that people will be able to see. They can go to the ECSJ website and they'll be able to see and maybe start to learn, because they'll start seeing things from other cultures that they aren't aware of, and they'll start to learn as well. So, and we've done that by also having we've created a QR code. Daphne was great, and I asked her last night to make sure it was tested so that it works, and it does. So that we'll have this as a big poster as well when we're at the city's city stand, and so people can just shoot the QR code, or they can have this. We'll have some flyers, and they can also just shoot the QR code and go right to the website where all of this will also be posted as well. So this is kind of our next exciting thing to be doing, and it will really be our first true interactive engagement, live engagement with the community this weekend.
Creative arts contest yet, and or, the ongoing piece. But I mean, this is an opportunity for us later on, work with the Art Commission, the Youth Commission, the Human Services Commission. I mean, this is where it's like little bit, it's small now, but we're also learning. The other thing that David, you said, and I just want to highlight, because I think I've highlighted this last year also, this commission has gone through a lot of changes, And, I know I said that and you appreciated the forming, storming, norming stages and such, which is, I think this is what happens when you have so many different voices, so many different opinions, so many different people working towards a goal that they didn't know. We created this. I mean, everybody in this room from the commission should be super proud because we did this. However, to get there, we stumbled, we messed up so many times, but that's what I think is needed to realize that that is what the community is. That's actually life, right? Like not everybody agrees probably on the council. However, you work for the, the mission. So I'm super excited just to kind of see and to present this. And even though we're saying it's little, it took a lot of work to get us where we're at. Mhm.
So with that, that's all that we really have. We'd love to open up now, get some feedback from all of you on the council and any questions that any of you want to throw at us.
First, I want to say that I think the running tally for the word subcommittee was about 3,415 tonight. My question is, how many subcommittees are you forming? And I just am reminded of a joke from Futurama, if anyone remembers the show, where they were in the central bureaucracy and they were saying, we formed a committee to form a committee to determine the color of the book with all the rules. How many subcommittees are we going with, and have you decided on the color of the book for the rules?
Right. So for at least with the subcommittees, they come and go so fast that we don't keep track of how many subcommittees we actually have. For example, for the plan here, the strategic plan, it was David, myself, and Brownwin. It took us a month. And then that subcommittee dissolved because we're done. And then we will come up with a new one for the Covington Day flyer stuff. So it comes and goes, but point taken. Yeah, that's how we've been doing it.
I'm just wondering to making sure that there's no redundancies. in all these
Absolutely,
things.
absolutely. And we do pick committees, or we don't pick, we allow people and what their strengths are. So if your strength is you rather plan or design or something like that, then go for it, which is amazing because then you can work with people's strengths and what they want to do instead of tell people what they have to do.
Next question I have, and I do have a couple, but a couple were just answered by that. Why exactly only want to participate in only one event a year? It looked like that's what it was saying. So you guys only want to do one event a year. We have at least multiple. Why not say at least 5 of the events a year?
That would be an objective. Absolutely. We're being realistic in the fact that while we are to meet once a month, technically, because of the Thursdays that we meet, we actually don't have by calendar meetings in November and December because they fall on Thanksgiving in November and right there for Christmas in December. So like last year, we ended up having an emergency meeting earlier in December. We didn't have one in November. We had one earlier in December. So we have actually only 10 months. And so we need to be realistic as far as the commitment and the amount of time, and that we don't want to stumble. So yes, we want to add, and that's where, like Mel was talking about, the calendar, where we want to build that calendar. It's kind of like an events calendar, but it will be an events calendar that will identify and to celebrate all of the various types of opportunities of holidays within the city. But then also, those can also be the opportunities that we would find to engage also with the community. So yes, we very well taken. We just wanted to be realistic for the first couple of years and then build on that.
Okay, so this is kind of the last one I have, and then I'm sure more will come to me later, and we can talk about that later. So in reality, this is the second year of the commission. You guys have been around 2 years. I know some of you have been around for the full 2 years, some of you less, some of you, what, 2 weeks now? And you have a goal, your goal is 1 to 2 year plan here. What other partnerships have you created with the other commissions? Have you created any? I know that Parks and has been trying to get with everybody, or Arts has been trying to get with everybody on figuring things out. But what partnerships have you created with the other commissions in this 2 year time that is in your celebrate goal here?
I'll defer to Vonnie Ramel. Since I'm just coming up on my 1 year, I think September is my 1 year, or August, one or the other. So I'm going to defer because I know that there was some outreach happening before I.
So we definitely have talked to the Arts Commission actually, and that's where, you know, that idea, and that's what we were talking about, that this may grow into a bigger event where we may be trying to do the diversity focused work, but use the Art Commission. So that's one where we have collaborated or exchanged ideas. We have also talked about the Youth Commission because Chuck is actually part of the Youth Commission as well. So we already have a member that's there as well. Our main thing, I guess the hesitation was at that point, or why we haven't collaborated as much as the paper says, is because we didn't have that. And now we have a blueprint. And now we know what we're talking about. So whether you want to call it, we weren't confident as to what we're collaborating on. And none of us wanted to waste any time. But now it's like you have a vision, you have a plan, let's go for it. But within the last year and a half that we've been active, we have communicated and exchange ideas with at least 2. Mhm.
What media did you use? How did you send it out?
It's on the, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So how did you elicit the response for that? How did you get the word out to respond to the survey?
So it went on, it was also like Regan was just saying, it was pushed through social media as well.
Okay.
By the city, and we started to get some responses back. So we gather the responses and we go through them and share them. So Monty, Bronwyn, and I gather those and we share them out to the rest of the commission. Hasn't been a lot of activity. That's where we're really hoping to push again at Covington Days, because there's so and it's great. I see on social. I just saw it again today. A push again about, or maybe yesterday, about joining a commission within the city. So I give kudos to the city for really being active in pushing people in the community to join and to explore commissions. So, because this is something that not a lot of people know about. I mean, when I'm out and about in the community and I introduce myself and I tell them about, my company was just down at Camp Cornucopia this past weekend. My company will be here at Covington Days as well. But when I was down there and introducing myself to other vendors that were around, as I do, I told them, I said, hey, you're going to be out at Covington Days, and I told them, what I do, and I'm a member of the commission, and they're like, oh, wow, you guys have that kind of a commission? That's cool. So it's really, there's a lot of education still that has to be done. So.
You got it.
I do, yeah. Yes, it's funny because when you all mentioned one event, my first reaction was smart, very smart. So opposite of Joe, clearly. But having served on a commission that has lots of eager goals and lots of great ideas, it's really, really a lot of work to focus in and hone on those ideas and prioritize. And I think one event is super smart. I really do. I think you should stick with that. You can always add, but you don't want to set yourselves up for failure. I did have a question, again, based on experience having served on a commission with lots of ambitious goals and honestly, arts, lots of creative energy and people going different directions. I saw us struggle with staying on task. And so it took us years to get to this point. So kudos for the work plan. But how do you expect to manage once these, because I see some of them are ongoing and that's awesome, but how do you keep the inertia going to actually close the project or actually to make progress? Are people going to expect it and being, knowing that they're accountable to report every meeting, or do they have a target date? I'm just curious so we don't, end up seeing the same thing in every joint meeting.
I thrive on deadlines. I think we all do. So we already, with our subcommittees, again, is we form them as we go. And we have a deadline for a project that subcommittee is either working on, whether it's a deadline of, you're going to come up with an idea or a final plan. But it has been working wonders for us just to have that and already put it on our agenda for next month. So it's coming. And then however much, they can meet as much or as little or what have you, just depending on the project they're working on. But really, we already put ourselves up and have those deadlines. And so we're the subcommittees being accountable to the whole commission. And they know that something has to be produced depending on, again, what the project is. So that's been working. And, like I said, the inertia and how do we motivate people? It's by using everybody's strength. Everybody's so different in our commission and whatever you would like to work on. So then we are including people's, talents, their skills or what have you, and putting people on projects that they want to do instead of just saying, and maybe you should do this. And that's been working because people have been motivated to, serve on these subcommittees.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited. I love to see this format and organization because I know it's very difficult to get a group of passionate people to actually get stuff done and not just talk about it all the time, because we spent a long time doing that on some previous stuff I've been on. So yeah, awesome. Love to hear it. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? John?
Well, I've got about
You get
15
three.
or so.
Yeah, thank you
maybe
for letting me go before Sean. I appreciate
Yeah, so what I'll do, I'm gonna put some of this in an email, but this is, I'm really excited about this. There's some great opportunities and I see the ability to create dialogue, which then can create common ground. I think this is really, really exciting. So just some things that I think there's some easy things we can do. And I will work with Regan on this. Ecology, who I work for, everything that we put out now goes out in multiple languages. So I think we need to take a look at our website and see where we can and which languages are predominant in Covington. I would assume Spanish, but after that, I don't know what the next one is. So multiple languages, resources on our website that address people that have English as their second language link, those sorts of things to help them navigate those systems. I think working with our schools on identifying which languages. And there's also, I just took a training, government to government training with our 29 federally recognized tribes. And I think there's an office of tribal governments in Washington state. So there's an opportunity there to start reaching out to our tribes. And I'd love to see us develop at the start, just a connection with our tribal governments here. So I've got a name for someone who might be willing to speak and maybe be our first speaker. So sister cities, I was thinking about that too. If there's a predominant community that we might be interested in recognizing and developing relationships with those communities as well. And then one more, I'll just do that. You talked about resource guides to navigate our system. I think we should shoot videos, and if we can do it in multiple languages, just basically talking about what Covington is, what the website is, what services we do have, and then those materials too, in multiple languages. So anyway, I'll type up the rest of this. So.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sean. That would be wonderful to have that list. Really cool.
I'll be quick. First off, I'm actually really proud of how much work has been done. If anybody's built anything, you know that digging and laying the foundation, it takes a lot of time, super time consuming, but for good reason. And not biting off more than you can, than you can chew. Once that first event goes incredibly successfully, you can learn from that. What was successful, what was not successful. And I actually think that once we get the public, we're like at the precipice of chugga, right? Clarity will come. It has to. We just haven't heard from our community too much. We haven't, I don't think we've had the opportunity to be out there. So I really foresee a big wave of feedback that will then provide clarity. And Sean touched on it just very briefly, but our school district actually has a lot of stats, huge. When we had the school board meeting, they told us what languages were predominant. And in fact, they were even surprised, and I was surprised to learn. One of them was Spanish, Russian was one of them, but then there was another one that was Farsi, Punjabi. All of them, even. Anyway, they're a really fantastic resource, and I'm excited to see, even just by the end of fall, where we end up.
Oh, and not that the commission is new, and then we had COVID. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
we were developed or started during COVID, so I mean, that just adds to. But again, it's how do we still continue to do the work that we want to do with all of the things that are, because of the pandemic. So it's an ongoing sort of process of how do we overcome barriers and how do we continue to overcome such barriers?
What's a positive that came out of COVID is that people are hungry for
Absolutely.
for interaction, for eye-to-eye
Mhm.
communication, and I hope that proves to be positive.
And because I brought it up, I did check National Donut Day was last month.
Oh.
It was
Oh.
June 2nd.
It was when?
June 2nd.
Well, and July. Again, y'all did a fabulous job. It started out with, we didn't know what, right?
Mhm,
And now here it
mhm.
is. And the impetus, a lot of it was what happened in 2020, but it's much bigger than that. It's about that inclusion. So you guys, I think, are doing a fabulous job. International Festival Day?
Absolutely. No,
I don't know.
yeah.
This is a suggestion. If there's a way to,
Yeah.
or even.
One of the members, the people that organizes it lives in my neighborhood. So, so my company has been involved in that before too. So yeah, it'd be a great opportunity. But I did want to say that, as we talked about before, and what like Monty alluded to, we were kind of, walking through the desert in a sense, kind of that lost tribe. And I want to give kudos to Reagan, as well as members that have come and talked to us from the Parks Commission. We have had that kind of interaction, and by really kind of driving us more towards being focused was very helpful. Because we were being very ambitious, and we did as Denver was talking about, we did spend a lot of time just talking at meetings and hashing out things and not getting anywhere, to the point where we all got frustrated as well. So those things really helped. That session with you was very helpful. That's what drove us towards the strategic plan. And out of that came the work plan and all that. So give kudos to all that have joined us along the path as well to help guide us. So with that,
Each of you, I know, like you said, it's a struggle, but everything starts from a seedling and grows. I mean, look at Amazon, and he started in a garage, now look at him. I know that looking at each of you and everybody else on your commission, you are going to just grow exponentially, and we're proud of what you do and what you've done. And thank you. Thank you very much for everything that you do. And thank you for coming tonight. This work plan and strategic plan is awesome. I mean, in 2 years' time, like Jennifer was saying, that's admirable. So, good job.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much. All right. You all have a great evening. You can stop the recording. Thank you very much for coming.